Hey guys, so we're here, back again with another review, and today we'll be taking a look at the McFarlane Toys DC Direct 7-inch scale page punchers Gorilla Grodd. Now before we get into the meat and taters of this review, kindly moving this mango arse looking monkey out of the way. Make sure he's not going to fall down here. Let's first take a look, see at both the front and the back of the packaging. You guys know what we do with packaging around here. So long. See you later. You are out of here. Putting Gorilla Grodd back into frame here. He's a big boy, so hopefully I'll be able to fit him on frame for you guys. Let's first take a look-see at his accessories. Before we go any further, though, he of course comes with a collectible trading card, which I am not sure if this is going to be like the John Constantine, where everyone has the same trading card, because this is the first Mega figure we've got in this 7-inch scale page punchers line. So fingers crossed we maybe get some more unique trading cards in the future, but for now I think they're just doing one card per set. That said, it's got some cool artwork on it. And there's a bio on the back. You can pause and read at your own leisure. At least I hope it's right side up. If not, I am sorry. That said, he also comes with the trademark hockey puck display stand we're used to seeing with all McFarlane Toys releases. But as much of a pain in the neck this guy can be to stand, once you get him standing, he's not so bad. He's not so bad. That said, he of course comes with a comic, since this is a page puncher. And I gotta tell you, compared to the wave John Constantine was from, this wave seems a little bit stronger in my opinion, because we get Captain Cold and Heat Wave, two characters we haven't gotten in the line before. I think there's a Flash and another character, if I'm not mistaken, as well. I don't think it's Mirror Master, it's somebody else, but either way, I think this is much stronger than the Black Adam-centric wave, because the only new character we got in that wave was John Constantine. In this one, we get two new characters, and we get a redo of a character that I think is much needed, although it has its flaws, like most McFarlane Toys figures, and particularly not in the articulation department. While he isn't the most articulated thing ever, I think the joints, for the most part, are fairly tight. I actually had to heat this guy up a little bit to get him to move a little bit more freely. But as far as aesthetic goes, he is lacking, because he kind of looks like the Great Pumpkin Monkey when you really sit down and have a closer look at it. Got some schmutz on that elbow. I'll have to take care of that. Either way, I'll do that later. We don't have time for me to futz around with this guy right now. But yeah, his armor is very orange. Very orange indeed. And while it's a little bit better in person than on video here, especially with my camera, it could be a lot better. I much prefer the gold on the Injustice 2 version, which I unfortunately do not have handy for size comparison, just because he's on my multiverse shelf in the back behind like several figures, and I'm not going to make a mess just to pull him out. Is that lazy? Absolutely. But is it justified? Absolutely. That said, while I don't mind the armor as much, I do mind this cape being like the same color. This should have been red. It should have been a separate piece, glued onto the shoulders, molded in red plastic. I think that would have been much better. Not glued onto the shoulders, but the armor on the shoulders. You know what I mean. Either way, it should have been a different color. It looks cheap, not gonna lie. Because the rest of this guy, the sculpt, is really good. I like the armor sculpt. He's got the chest plate, the breastplate, he's got the pauldrons, he's got the cool cape, he's got this helmet here, which I much prefer Grodd with a more gladiator looking helmet with the kind of mohawk on the top, but it is what it is. He does have a cool looking helmet though, almost Magneto-esque. And he also has this loin piece down here, and the diaper, which has no gorilla monkey parts on it. I know he's not a monkey. He doesn't have a tail, but I'm going to call him a monkey because I like monkey. Monkey is a fun word, especially when used incorrectly. That said, as far as articulation on this guy is concerned, You can look up and down a little bit. You can tilt a little bit. You can look side to side. Shoulders, I'll use this one. You can go out about that far. Maybe a little more if you force it, but that's not bad for a big guy. Back down, forward and back. He does have rotation at the elbow, as well as a hinge, which does work pretty well on mine. Sorry, the white balance getting thrown off. He's a black figure with bright colors on it. I'm not going to win here. He also has a swivel in the wrist with a hinge. It does work pretty well. He also has hips that can kick out to the side, back down, forward and back. He's got a thigh cut in there. It does actually work pretty well, mostly going in though. He does have a hinge at the knee, which is very tight. Nice and sturdy there, as well as rotation. Straightening that back out. You can hear the crunch on that, I bet. He also has hinged feet. They do work pretty well. Unfortunately, no rocker on this dude, so that sucks. So he is going to be tricky to stand. You have to have him positioned just right. He is sculpted in a way that if you don't have him planted that way, he's not going to stand very well. So that is very limiting. I don't know why they did that. I would have much rather have had the rocker than this swivel up here. You're not going to get much use out of that. Said he does have peg holes at the bottom of the feet. For the stand, he doesn't need, so long as, again, you have his feet planted correctly. Like so. Pushing this arm back down. This thing can be a hassle to move, I'm not going to lie. Dang. Doesn't want to bend now. What the heck? Yeah, that for whatever reason, his elbow don't want to bend now. I literally just tested this. There we go. Before shooting this video. I did mention the hands. What I didn't mention was the waist. He does have a ball joint in there. Kind of like Cygor's, but it doesn't look nearly as bad. Like, at all. But it is kind of loose and floppy. Not terrible. It doesn't have much range. It's just, it's going to bend backwards all the time. Unless you have him standing up. So it is what it is. There's a lot of weight up here. This is a solid chunk. This torso. It is hollow, but it is pretty solid. That said, this elbow on mine was pretty tight out of package. I did heat it. I did manage to get it to work a little bit better. But it could be a little looser for my liking. But either way, I like this figure despite its shortcomings, particularly in the paint department, because I don't know, I would gladly pay like an extra $5 a release to get more paint, because the Toddfather always delivers on pretty kick-butt sculpts. I mean, this literally looks like an anatomically correct, like, anthropomorphic gorilla. It's a pretty amazing sculpt. If you missed out on the Injustice one, I would highly recommend getting this one. Although I don't think that Injustice one's too hard to get a hold of still. I think you can buy it most places, if I'm not mistaken. But yeah, I do really like this figure, man. I think it's cool. Is it top 10 multiverse, page punchers, DC Direct, McFarlane Toys, whatever of the year? I don't know. I'm not sure when I'm going to get around to doing that video, because I do have a lot of catching up to do with that line, despite the fact that I've been hammering out multiverse reviews lately. But time will tell, I guess. So with that being said, before this review drags on any longer than it already has, let's now move on and take a look at some size comparisons. First up, and while I may not have any extra Gorilla Grodd or gorillas in general figures handy, I do have a couple of speedsters, and while none of them are Barry Allen, Wally West, or otherwise, we do have the Walmart exclusive Dark Flash from Dark Knight Speed Metal, I believe, and Godspeed from Rebirth, to give you guys an idea of how large and in charge this new Gorilla Grodd is compared to that old Injustice 2 one, which was not even close to this big. This is a much better scale for Grodd. That said, these guys definitely make up in detail when they lack in size, whereas Grodd, he's got the size, but not so much detail, at least not in the paint department. And last, but certainly not least, we have our two regulars, the Mythical Legions for the Mandibulus Limit Spawn, who's not turning over everyone today, but if you guys know good old Al Simmons like I do, you guys know darn well that he's used to bungling in the jungle with some monkeys. So with that being said, time to wrap things up with some final thoughts. Overall, and even though this figure does have its shortcomings, particularly in the paint apps department and in the ankle articulation, or lack thereof in this case, I think for 40 bucks you could do a heck of a lot worse. I mean, look at what Hasbro's charging for 40 bucks. And I ain't talking about the Blue Ninjas 2-pack on Amazon for the G.I. Joe Classified line. That's a good deal. Some other stuff, not so much. Marvel Legends. That said, if you are looking for a Gorilla Grodd to add to your DC collection, McFarlane toys are otherwise. I think for the size this guy has, he could fit in with your DC Classics, DC Direct, which, funny enough, he is kind of a DC Direct figure, or your McFarlane Toys Multiverse figures. I think he's a jack of all trades as far as that's concerned, and that's a good thing to have going for you when your paint apps are as minimal as this guy's. That said, it is easier to paint than sculpt, but I'm visually impaired and probably shouldn't attempt that in the slightest. So, with that being said, I hope you guys enjoyed this review. If you're so inclined, please don't forget to comment, like, subscribe, and hit the bell so you know whenever I upload more reviews like this one. If you haven't already, please hit me up on Instagram at Overlord Productions. But as always, keep the comments civil, because the world sucks enough as it is, especially when your armor looks like a bunch of pumpkins, for crying out loud. And until next time, I'll catch you guys later.